Dr. Wormuth, could you elaborate on the specific investments and capabilities in this budget that supports the 2022 National Defense Strategy?
Certainly, Chairman. As I said, we have about $35 billion for modernization in this budget, and that is really focused on each of our 6 major modernization portfolios, whether it's long-range precision fires, air and missile defenses, next-generation combat vehicles, future vertical lift. All of those new systems will contribute to us being able to continue to field combat-credible forces, which are core to integrated deterrence, which is one of the major lines of effort in the National Defense Strategy. We also have, considerable billions of dollars associated, obviously, with operations and maintenance, and that supports our ability to campaign day to day to be able to compete against Russia and China. So, for example, the budget supports the operations that are underway right now. Again, as General McConville and I mentioned, the tens of thousands of Army soldiers who are in Europe right now, for example, or our forces that are operating in the Indo-Pacific through the Operations Pacific Pathways series of exercises.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And General McConville, in producing these capabilities, I know you've got an eye on the joint force, because the battles of the future, as in mostly in the past, will be fought not just by the Army, but by the joint force. Can you tell us how you are developing capabilities that benefit the joint force?
Yes, Senator. I think it starts with a concept that we're all developing, a joint warfighting concept. The enabler of that is what we call the Joint All Command and Control system. I add a C to it because I think we're going to fight combined. And what that allows us to do is to move data and communications very, very quickly between every sensor and shooter on the battlefield. And by being able to do that, we provide a much more lethal force on the joint side. And then, as the Secretary mentioned, the Army does logistics. We do that very, very well. We're providing long-range precision fires. We're providing air and missile defense. All these capabilities work to support the joint force in whatever theater that we end up fighting.
You indicate in your response that the first sort of major objective would be fully integrated and fully secure communications. What's your sense in terms of how far we are away from that objective?
Well, I think we're making a lot of progress, Senator. We've conducted a thing we call Project Convergence, and we've been doing it over the last 3 years. The first time we did it, we brought the Army out there, and we worked our systems back and forth. We just finished one with the Joint Force and have had success, and this year coming up, we'll bring out some of our allies and partners to do that. But we've also stood up a Joint Systems Integration Laboratory up at Aberdeen. And what that is, we bring in all the different systems that we use to communicate and make sure they can communicate before we take them out in the desert in some extreme conditions. We found that to be very successful.
Very good. And Secretary Wormuth, I have a short bit of time left, but we had an opportunity to discuss, and I think Senator Inhofe is also interested in the issue of recruiting in a very complicated world. The number of qualified individuals continues to shrink, but what else is happening is that it's becoming somewhat insular. I think General McConville indicated that somewhere close to 80% of recruits come from military families. And if you look at the geographic distribution, it's moving away from a more national focus, certainly as it was under the draft, to more regional, the South and the West. So could you comment briefly on that? And I think my colleague will probably pursue it also.
Yes, Senator. It's absolutely true that, a large number of young Americans that come into the Army today come from families that have served in the military. So I think one of the things we've got to do is find a way to help, all young Americans understand all of the great opportunities that they can have in the Army and all of the things that the Army will enable them to do. So we are working hard, for example, on our marketing efforts to really try to reach out to as many Americans as possible and to help them understand what the Army is about. We're also looking at things like our junior ROTC programs, for example, which also expose young kids to the Army, and we may look at expanding those programs, for example.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you both again for your service, and please give our congratulations to those who serve with you.